All right, welcome to Kite Talks. We have, an old friend of mine. We've grown up together. It's actually an honor to host you. We have Pavit Singh with us. He is the founding partner at Elysium Clubs. Also started HotFut back in Pune. I'm going to take you through his journey in the sports business. It's been fantastic, and I've been uh, on the sidelines, in the middle, and it's been some fantastic things happening. And Pavit, it's really exciting to have you with us.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. And thank you for that awesome introduction. I hope I meet those standards because I've seen the kind of guests you guys have had on Guide Talks, and I've been kind of jealous because I haven't got an invite yet. But yeah, this is great
No,
because
no,
you've been
this
doing
was
some
this was
amazing work.
this is long time coming, man. Long time coming, and no, I'm happy we finally made this happen.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
and you
And
know,
and
I love the conversations where I catch up with friends, because that's exactly what this is, uh, ends up being the most valuable, because everybody's sort of game face is down,
yeah,
and
it's
like
it's candid and disarmed.
feel
Yeah,
free to share. So
yeah,
let's so Hotfoot started a while ago. I want to start a little bit there. We'll just start from that journey and then kind of
yeah.
segue into what you're doing with Elysium. So maybe tell us a little bit about how that sort of idea came about, and if you want to even go back into sort of your youth. I know we were on the same football team, and maybe start
Yeah,
from
I was on the sidelines and you were the captain. The different story. But yeah, all of those play an impact, man. All of those play a role. What that taught me though was that people peak at different times in their lives. And with all the school programs we run now, and I see so much competitiveness with the parents. I did that with my own kid. I've pushed him to play football aggressively. Now he hates it. And we've got 19 academy brands which are owned by HotFut. So with
wow.
like, say Saurav Ghoshal or Peter Burwash, and these are like global brands. Um, and I still am the worst coach alive. So while we give all this philosophy on how to coach and why and what coaching is, I'm a big fan of coaching as a concept. When it comes to your own kids and your own past, I realize that you peak at different times, dude. And so I advise that a lot of the parents now is, he might not be able to kick the ball like his buddy today, but maybe in 4 years it's going to be 3x of that. Let
Yeah,
the kid peak at his own pace.
yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, I can imagine. Tell me a little bit about how Hotfoot came about, and
So,
that
funny story, we
story.
just stumbled upon into HotFut. Honestly, it was just that I was doing manufacturing, family business, hated it. Wanted a place to play on Sundays. I'd gone to Singapore and I'd seen like a version of HotFut on the beach.
Yeah.
And I was strolling by and I was like, dude, like I just want to get in and play. And I hadn't played football in 5 years before that. And I just walked up and was like, guys, can I just join? And they showed me the system. And you just put your name in and they do a quick proficiency check. I still don't have a left foot. So they
Nice.
put me in like the bottom rung. Went in and played for like half an hour on a pickup game on a random weekday. And I turned around, I was like, dude, we need this. And then that left
Yeah.
there for a year. Nothing happened. Came back home. We used to get thrown out of Wadia College. We used to get thrown out of St. Mira School. We just begging for grounds all the time. So I turned around and told one of my friends, dude, we have enough money. Why don't we build our own ground, kind of like what I saw in Singapore,
Yeah.
for ourselves, just for me and my mates to play on Sunday. And that's the origin of it. And we found a place, and then we realized, oh shit, it's a lot more money than we thought. And we kind of Indianized the context. Where they had sports flooring, like sport court and indoor tiles, we realized we never saw green in our lives, right? Maybe you did because you played at a much higher level, but we saw only mud balls. So I knew the color green and turf would
Yeah.
be really appealing. So we went down. And we designed the whole product and we thought it's really expensive. How about we recover some money? So we'll charge people, let some other friends play too. I
Yeah.
flew down to China, amazing experience there too. First time, got swindled, lost a lot of money, came back, whatever. It took 2 months, found a spot, expensive rent, Mundwa. Uh, First month was just me and my mates. Second month, we had 20,000 people who turned up saying, hey, can we play too?
Wow.
And at that point, I realized that we're onto something here. I think the good lesson from here is that the participation gap in India from viewership versus participation is at
Yeah.
0.06%.
Oh.
Burkina Faso, which is the poorest country in the world, is at 12%. All right. So we have obviously we have a big population, so that skews the data. But At that point, I realized what hunger for and desire for just playing any kind of sport and engaging outside
Yeah.
of going to a movie or eating out or going to the mall, which has become the family's version of getting out in India. Um,
Yeah.
and the minute you give an option to that, it turned into this beast. And today, if you look at the turf industry, there are 3,000 registered turf operators in the country. While we're
Wow.
still ahead of the race as one of the largest in the country, but it was so generic and it was such a big hunger in the country for this product that we couldn't control the demand or the supply. And so we're just another version of this is product, which is where I feel we kind of let the ball drop. If I was sufficiently capitalized at that point, I would have opened 500 of these. But we managed to open like 30 or 40, still one of the dominant players, but the market's turned into 50,000 turfs today.
Wow.
And if you go to Gujarat, for example, right, there's no alcohol there. And you ask
Hmm.
the kids generally on the street, hey, what do you guys do at night, man? You guys don't drink, you guys don't party. Say, oh, we just drive around the streets, go to a turf. And it's become like a very general thing now. So I'm kind of proud that we were the first turf ever in India. We introduced the concept. Um, but honestly, every time we opened one, people would celebrate. I genuinely felt like we didn't create anything, man. We just put a ground and people wanted to play. The only time it hit me that we've done something cool with the expansion was when I was in a remote village in Chennai last year. And this village is 500 kilometers from Chennai. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a seaside
Yeah.
town near Tuticorin. And we were on the beach near this like very rundown slum.
Yeah.
Two of the kids came out. This must have been 4 or 5. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he points to his jersey. It was the Apollo Tires HotFut Youth League jersey.
Oh, wow.
And he looked at me. He's like, hey, we're wearing the same jersey. At that point, I realized how much penetration we've achieved. Like this middle of
Yeah.
nowhere town in the middle of nowhere in India had a kid wearing my logo on it. And that's the only time I felt proud of achieving something when it comes to like sport and hot foot. I thought, oh shit, we really did do something cool here.
Nice.
So yeah, man, that's Hotfoot's humble beginnings. It did grow really fast. We got a lot of investments in initially. We got awards from FICCI for best sports startup. We got awards from Economic Times. Sanjeev Sanyal gave that to me. It was pretty cool. He gave
Nice.
me his card, when I explained the business model and whatnot. And he gave me his card. He's like, where India is going, and this is the economic advisor to the freaking country.
Yeah.
He's like, where India is going and how we're getting there. Social capital is our biggest Achilles heel. Any company that's doing social capital the way you are, I'm giving you my card because you might not have time to pick up my phone in 10 years. That's how much I believe in what you're doing.
Nice.
So that was like fucking, sorry, not a lot of views, but that was
That's
like,
fine.
bloody hell, dude. That was an epiphany moment for us
Yeah.
in terms of what we're on to, and actually led the way for Elysium to get formed. Because what happened was we were busy investing our capital,
Right.
running this thing, paying rent, and we realized we're making no money. Everything is going to the landlord,
Correct.
and everything is going to the guys we're buying this expensive infrastructure from.
Yeah.
And we actually landed up making 1%, 3% profit over like a 10, 20, 15 crore turnover. That's when we started pivoting, and people like Lodha would call us and say, hey, listen, we've
Right.
got, and our typical venue would be between 50 lakhs to 1.5 crore,
Yeah.
a ticket size to enter into a two turf or
Mm-hmm.
three turf arena. Um, and then Lodha would call us and say, hey, listen, we're struggling with our turf, which is 11-a-side stadium
Yeah.
with a golf course, an Olympic complex in which they invested 104 crores and they're
Yeah.
losing 20 crores a year. And so we went in and they said, hey, how can you help us? And I said, just give it to me. And we did a pretty cool structured deal. Very, very good foresight of them. They didn't let me jump in like a moron with my money and my capital. And
Yeah.
uh, we did an escalating structure deal where they paid me initially while I got a hold of the community and the business.
Okay.
And then it de-escalated to a point now when we took over Lodha's Olympic Sports Complex, 4 clubs, 2 stadiums, the cricket stadium and the football stadium and the golf course.
Yeah.
They were spending 19.4 crores a year on O&M going out. 2018, we took over. 2024, we gave them 1.5 crores over and above
Amazing.
costs. So they're saving 21, 22 crores, but that's not what they really wanted. They didn't care about the money. They didn't care about the outcome of that money.
Correct.
They cared about what they could get from it. So today, for example, we do 216 events. I think we did this year in Lodha. And our largest event, Palazzo, we had to build an app just to manage the damn event. It's a Guinness Book of World Record event. We have 8,000 people. We had to build this app just to manage it. 8,000 residents take part in this. 26 sports,
Ooh.
96 categories. It's the Olympics of the society. It has a
Yeah,
Mr. Lodha and a Mrs. Lodha and a fashion show, and it has like the production of an IFA award ceremony at the end. We do all of this in like 25, 30 lakh rupees, what they were spending 2, 3 crores on.
correct.
There are 9 townships in Dombivli. Each one bigger, better, newer, not bigger, but better, newer than Lodha in terms of flat sizes, price,
Yeah.
amenities, features. But people still choose Lodha. And when you ask them why, they say, "Bhai, life to udhar hi hai na."
Hmm.
And so that's where the genesis of Elysium happened, is
Nice.
where we realized that we're affecting township sales to the tunes
Yeah,
of hundreds, in some cases, thousands of crores, because
correct.
the experience of living there is what the residents actually wanted. Right?
Yeah.
When you sell a lifestyle and you subscribe to a lifestyle when you're buying a flat, you're not buying the flat, you're buying that lifestyle, which, all these hoardings, you see the worst hoardings in the world,
Yeah.
and you enter Pune or Bombay, and everybody's selling you some dream scenario, but builder just wants to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Build the
Correct.
damn thing, get out. And essentially, development in India has been a product-based business, and the market has moved, right? And real estate post-COVID has been booming,
Yeah.
consolidation is happening, and what they don't realize is they're not selling a product, they're
Hmm.
selling lifestyles, and that's a service.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to deliver the service. In fact, if any developer ever runs a society, you know what happens to it, right? Like go
Exactly.
to any of, I'm not going to take some names here, but you go to some of the biggest societies in Pune, built by the biggest builder in Bombay, it should be a clue, and you'll see all these hartal and this resort living, and you'll see like 200 residents with like signboards out, give our money back and shit like that. Because they don't know, they might have hospitality in their portfolio, they might have Marriotts and Tajes and Oberois, but servicing a community is a whole different game. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where HotFut kind of led into services delivery, real estate services delivery, and then
Yeah.
that was the formation of Elysium. And that's a story that's just taken off. Like we're in some
No,
of the
I can
big
imagine.
names.
And what's really interesting is like if I think about, say, the initial sort of when HotFoot started, right? I mean, of course, it started as okay, you want a place to play, but eventually you realized, okay, you're affecting a community getting to participate in sport, and now the numbers from what you're seeing through Elysium can be at an absolutely mind-boggling scale,
Yeah,
especially in India, right?
yeah,
Which
dude.
is
If
which
you
is
want me to
amazing.
throw some numbers at you,
No, I love that.
yeah, so I'm going to give you numbers of some projects. I don't know if this is a good idea because this is a public platform, but these are numbers of developers.
Yeah,
Um, the first Elysium we did.
yeah,
Okay, first I'll start with we have 76 developers.
right.
Brigade, Lodha, Vadhva, Shapurji, Raheja, Dosti, Koilkanga, SPR, you name a developer in the country, we're either developing or have an operation club with them. In the top
Hmm.
50 developers in the country, almost 48 of them are tapped. We get 19 new inquiries a month on
Wow.
managing, operating, building, or designing experiences for townships. Right, India is exploding right now. A typical township, say the first Elysium Club we put up in Pune, in Bavdan, in
Yeah.
Ganga Legend County. That project was kind of suffering, right? It had 90 units in 9 months as a legacy of sale before we
Okay.
started Elysium in November 21, where I convinced Mr. Amit Goel to take his 12 acres of land, which was red zone, so he couldn't build. And he was doing
Yeah.
like a garden, really fancy 20 crore garden. I said, no, no, no,
Right.
give it to me. And credit to him, dude had foresight, man. He's like, okay, I'm trusting nobody from nowhere who made loss-making business with sports. And we set up Elysium clubs. We got in 14 brand partners, started delivering the lifestyles, put up big hoardings on all the brand partners, shifted his sales office from his swanky 20,000 square foot experience center to a 500 square foot balcony on one of our clubs, which overlooked the stadium.
Nice.
November 21, we launched Elysium there. April 22, we sold 672 units in 4 months. But more importantly, the kicker is this. Bavdan was selling at 5,000 rupees a square foot. GLC was positioned as a premium offering at 5,500. We sold Elysium in this 5 month period at an average rate of 7,300 for Ganga Legend County.
Oh, wow.
So the developer netted close to 1,300 crores in 5 months, right? So a cash flow of 1,300 crores came in, and I went around the whole country saying, "Hey, I did this." So someone like Niranjan Hirandani, when I told him this, he's
Yeah.
like, "Pavit, you didn't affect 1,300 crores. There must be many other market factors. You're probably like a dot in this whole scheme." So I took that as a challenge. We went back and we got like a top 5 management accounting firm to validate. We said,
Oh,
"Hey, do an
good.
audit."
Yeah.
Tell us how much exactly freaking Elysium did for this. So they gave me a certificate saying that 720 crores of top line was added purely because of the conceptual selling.
Wow.
And they did another favor is they publicized the document in a report. I'll send you the
Amazing.
link.
Yeah.
So the JLLs, the CBREs, the Anarocks, the Guardians got a hold of this.
Yeah.
And since then, life has been an upswing roller coaster. We're just not able to look back.
That's amazing, man. I
Yeah.
can't imagine. What's your, if I may ask, like, what's Pavit's day to day like? Like, what's life in the day of Pavit?
Everybody asks me where do I live. I keep telling them seat 22A on Indigo Airlines. That's my official address. I spend 25 days a month traveling. Um,
Man.
I meet some of the most exciting and at the same time some of the most shocking developers in the whole country. Um, I am typically at 200 calls a day right now. It's madness. The team is
Yeah.
growing. We have grown from 16-man team 3 years ago to 570 people in Elysium alone. HotFut itself employs another
Wow.
350 people. We have more than 600 crores in assets under management right now in Elysium
Amazing.
and HotFut. And we've signed up so many clubs, man. And
Yeah.
the biggest problem is how we're going to manage all this. And so we've been focusing for the last 3 months on things like, so we realized all we do is deliver services, right? And we
Yes.
deliver community-based services, but it's
Mm-hmm.
services. And the concept of what Elysium does is spread so much that I'm now hosting CP launches. 1,000 people CP, you know what CPs are? They're like these channel partner meets.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
industry works on these channel partner
Yeah.
meets. It's basically big bunch of brokers, and you throw a
Yeah.
big party for them. The more
Yeah.
money you spend on the party, the more they believe you have money, so your project will actually come up. And that's been the theme of the industry. So I've been hosting those. I don't know how that's my role anymore. We've been doing product design for, like, we're doing a product design right now for a township in Surat where the end-to-end mandate for sales of almost $1 billion worth of real estate is depending on what Elysium does for them and how we position, market,
Wow.
host, and deliver the sales. So suddenly we're into real estate sales.
Correct.
We're into and honestly, I was just explaining to my design team, we just put up we were failing with, this, how much we struggled with agencies. You helped us out in the middle, and then you moved on to
Yeah.
bigger, better things, and we got left with no agency. But we've chewed through 9 agencies in the last 2 years, and it's
Wow.
very, very painful to teach someone your brand guidelines, understand your frequency,
Yeah.
get into what is on brand and off brand, which takes a year almost, and then they
Totally.
disappoint you. So we decided to set up Elysium Studios, which is an in-house marketing agency. We've got the top talent in out of Bombay for design and
Nice.
out of Delhi for performance. Um, and I was explaining to them, the same logic that we were talking about. Essentially, the business is not rocket science. Why Elysium is growing is the sports, fitness, wellness, and F&B industry have the highest mortality rate in any industry. The reason that is because they are community-based industries. And community-based industries, from my learning over the last 15 years, has been you need at least 2 years, if not 3 years, for the community to truly establish itself.
Yeah.
Those 3 years is where cost of capital or the interest on your capital and the cost of real estate, your rentals, is what's the Achilles heel. It's the death knell. And if you can't sustain the cash flows till your community is formed, and that's why the mortality rate is close to 85% in India, which is why everybody thinks sports is a loss-making business
Yeah.
outside of brand franchises and mega scale business. Uh, what we've done with Elysium and Otford is it's a value exchange exercise. We've exchanged the value of real estate and the interest for sales in real estate. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're doing market, we replace that cost for them with
Yep.
exponentially higher marketing and sales returns on the real estate itself. So they leave us alone for those first few years till the community establishes. And once the community establishes, a typical club of ours has an 8 to 10 crore P&L.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're able to pay off rentals, pay off interest, and be left with excruciatingly good profits.
Nice.
And the community takes care of itself, man. It's like an auto run after that.
True. No,
So
that's
value exchange exercise. That's pretty much it.
I want to talk a little bit about on the sports side, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because every developer again has a different thought process on what they want to set up
Uh-huh.
in terms of, like you just mentioned, okay, one will have a golf course, the others maybe cricket, football, swimming, all of it. And so one is, do you get into sort of that side of it where you're advising sort of the developers what sport they need to focus on? That's one question. And the other is, you have a lot of partnerships, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned in terms of from a training perspective. So how does that kind of merge into into this sort of community
Yeah.
service?
So awesome questions. In fact, one of the main things we do now is we enter only early stage projects. So
Amazing.
when a developer comes to us, we say, what is your experience? And you'll be shocked. People doing 5,000 crore projects have not defined that. They don't know what experience they're going to give the client. So, for
Correct.
example, I'm in a project right now called Raheja District, right? Their experience was clear. It's the future destination. The location is strategically located near the NMIA airport and Atul Setu. It's in
Yeah.
Vashi. It's a confluence of all points. So everything future.
Yeah.
So the concept has always been future now, future work, future play, future live. Um, so the experience is for young urban fit families. And so we went with that as the campaign when we designed all the infrastructure. So if you look at
Right.
the gym, if I just open, it's an indoor 40,000 square foot arena, which is built
Wow.
temporarily for 3 years. We spent 10 crores on this thing, and it's only here for 3 years. It's going to get demolished in 3 years. It's like an experience center. Um, we have combat training brands like Ricky Hatton. So we've got an MMA rig. We've got all the brand partners are like newer sports. We've got paddle tennis and pickleball, and we've got rock climbing. We've got a skate park. Everything that the world is kind of meandering towards
Yeah.
because it links with the theme of the project and the TG that they have here. So whenever we go to any township and developer, I'll give you examples of where we got it wrong. Lodha, we built
Okay.
Olympic Sports Complex. In Dombivli, we didn't. They had already built it. We took it over.
Right.
It has six squash courts, brilliant, like world-class squash arena. It
Yeah.
has seven tennis courts. It has an Olympic 50-meter pool, all Olympic grade spec for tennis, squash, and and swimming. In a township where the average flat rentals you get at a 2 BHK at 6,000, 8,000 rupees a month. So the audience is not a
Correct.
tennis or squash playing audience.
Yeah.
Today, my squash courts are used for gilli danda and for karate and for TT. My
Oh
tennis courts
man.
are used for like box cricket and skating. Swimming kind of does work. So while Lodha stands for luxury, and they built a luxury Olympic sports complex using
Yeah.
luxury sports because that's on brand for them, they missed out on what the TG's brand preference was. And they
Interesting.
built the wrong thing and it'll end up being a white elephant for them.
Yeah.
So now a big part of what we do is we do primary research before we advise our developers. We go
Amazing.
into market, we have a primary research team. So you'll be shocked. My best and biggest performing facilities are not in Bombay, Pune, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. They're in Sholapur, Belgaum,
No
Surat,
way.
Indore. Dude, Sholapur was our first tier three expansion. And I was kicking and crying my way into Sholapur saying, oh, dude, people, I'm struggling to sell in Bombay and Pune.
Yeah.
Sholapur kaun jayega? It's like, I didn't know where it
Correct.
is. We set up our club this year. We retrofitted a mill, which was the landlord's vision there. He
Mm-hmm.
had a mill, kind of like this, Mahalakshmi mills or
Yeah.
any of these mills, Kamla mills. And we did it, retrofitted it, built a club, marketed it well. We launched in Jan this year. The marketing plan business plan I had given him was we'll do 3.6 crores in year one.
Yeah.
Average selling point, 36,000 of family membership, 1,000 units in a year.
Yeah.
We started in Jan this year. We were supposed to have a 6-month warm-up period and 6 months of performance. So 1.8 crores was the committed turnover. We've
Yeah.
closed the year right now at 12.9 crores. That's 10x the business plan,
What
right?
the heck?
And my most expensive membership in the country is in Sholapur right now.
Whoa.
But that being said, my most vibrant community and my most appreciated product is from Sholapur. The average GMB rating is 4.8, 4.9. Everybody, people
Nice.
write poems and post them online about how good their life is because of Elysium there. Because, and this is something I recommend. That's where India's growth is. It's not the
Yeah.
metros.
Correct.
Man, the consumer industry in India, you must read this book, Lilliput Land. It's a Bible
Mm-hmm.
for me right now. It's a little
Yeah.
boring if the macroeconomics part doesn't really appeal to you. But once you've tasted this and you understand how these big brands have missed their consumer strategy, and people keep talking about consumer India and the consumer market,
Yeah.
dude, I've seen it. Like we live it. My only focus is now consumer India. And if you cater the product to the aspiring audience at that price point without compromising quality,
Yeah.
sky's the limit. And like our only focus now is to build sports facilities and clubs in tier two, tier three cities in India.
Amazing. No, this is like I'm already envisioning, see, because this the participation just skyrockets,
Yeah,
and you're having like adults who recreationally would not play, who are now playing sport. Now,
yeah,
obviously, that's a massive influence on the youth. Now, automatically, that changes the entire sort of culture, right? Growing up.
yeah.
for us, okay, we played because our school had teams, and but otherwise, now with this whole community living, it's
Yeah,
a different ballgame. And I mean, if you look at it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, I mean, you'll have such a massive
ripple
participation
effect.
of
Yeah,
huge ripple effect,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what we need,
yeah,
as a country, like just from a sporting perspective. I mean, the core of your business now is at this whole real estate kind of,
yeah.
um,
But essentially, the product is the same. The club
yeah,
membership is a sports membership. People want
correct.
to play. And like
Yeah,
80% of our memberships is sold because people want the sports facilities,
yeah.
right? And they want to come and play, and they want their families to play. And so, living healthier, happier, and fitter lives is the outcome of this. So we have this concept of third places. Like if you
Hmm.
even Starbucks, if you ask the CEO what Starbucks business, you'll be shocked. They don't say we sell coffee. They say we're a third place. We're a contemporary third place. Incidentally, we sell coffee. So you have your first place, which is your home, and you have your second
Yeah,
place, which is your work.
work.
And 90% of human lives are revolved around that. And the place where emotional, social, and physical development happens actually is in your third place. And
Amazing.
I think that's what Elysium and HotFut do. We create third places. Some are about art and culture and fitness. Some are about sports. Some are
Yeah.
amalgamation. But India needs that, man. Like we have and I give this spiel every time we go out, and people are like, "Dude, you're a Modi bhakt." But it's not that. It's the India story, and
Yeah.
we have the youngest, largest population the Earth is ever going to see as a workforce.
Yeah.
Geopolitically, demographically, socioeconomically, we're primed to be the next superpower. The
No two
only
ways
thing
about
holding
it.
us back is this productivity base, this huge force of youth we're going to unleash on the planet. It's been brainwashed with academia that is outdated and is getting more outdated as AI and machine learning take
Yeah.
over. Everything academic base is going to be automated and you're redundant already. Right. And the one thing you need in the global world and the global mindset. So, I was lucky enough to sit with in a meeting with Gautam Adani maybe a year back. We're doing their Adani clubs as well
Yeah.
in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, and in Gurgaon. And when I explained to him what I'm doing, he said, "Look, we're going to create this township where I bring India to the rest of the world. We're going to have Shanti Grams in New York, in London, 600 acres, bring
Wow.
India to the Indians there." And he said, the one thing I need though is I need global relevance. And I think the Indian audience needs that too. They need globally relevant lifestyles.
Yeah.
So he looked at me, and there was no reason for me to be sitting on that table of the kind of people they were. And he just looked at me and he said, "You talk the talk. Uh, my mandate to you is this, Pavit. Can you deliver global quality lifestyle experiences to the residents of my townships? And if you do, then that's my mandate for you to do it globally for me." I
Nice.
walked out of the meeting thinking like, dude, I conquered the world. I don't need to work another day in my life. I'm sorted. Like that was the highlight of my life. But when a person of that stature sees
Correct.
social
Yeah.
capital as the biggest entry
Yeah.
and ticket to unlocking India's potential, then I think we're on the right path now, man.
No, amazing, man. Amazing. So we have like maybe 5, 7 odd minutes,
Yeah,
maybe depending on. I know you're a busy guy, but uh, what does the future hold? At least for you guys, for Elysium, given how AI is, I mean, taking over, you have
yeah,
technology. There's so many things. Like how are you guys going to really like focus to be able to kind of scale at what you're talking about,
yeah. So two ways to answer the question. One's the philosophical, one's the numbers.
Yeah.
Which one do you want me to start with?
Maybe the philosophical.
Okay. So for philosophy perspective, we genuinely believe um, a large chunk of the workforce that we are preparing is going to be redundant. I think the global relevant skills of the future, like GSA sir said, was
Yeah.
emotional social intelligences. And you're born with your mind and your body. I know so many of these reels going around. You've seen some of the best professors in the world have said the most important human attribute for success is emotional regulation. And
Yeah.
there's no formal education to how to regulate your emotion. And sports does that to you, microdosing it innately. You don't even know it, right?
Correct.
Teaches you how to regulate your emotions. So, from a philosophical perspective, I think the our business caters to the development of the future skills of mankind.
Amazing.
And so I think we'll be more and more relevant and more important as we are building social capital. We're building, so we have an ICLD, Elysium Center for Learning and Development, to train our people to
Yeah.
manage the growth.
Yeah.
What we realize more and more is we just giving them etiquettes, training, and skill. Like dude, if you read any of my articles, there's one I wrote on this, why we created ICLD. Like all my
Yeah.
friends, December came down, people are sticking them in the, breathing down their necks, cutting queues. And he's like, dude, only in India. And the same guys behave well outside. And I think it's a cultural context. So um, this is where the Indian audience needs training and skilling. And I think that's an industry that we are kind of doing without making it formal, without calling it education. Uh, so philosophically, I think we're on the right trajectory of the future growth industry. You look at any dystopian movie, After Earth and all of that, everything is
Yeah.
all community and everything is all organic and everything is all
Yeah.
culture
Yeah.
and sustainable. And so I feel like we fit into that world. So we're prepped for that. From a numbers perspective, man, the beauty of our business model is we've had zero capital investment in Elysium
Amazing.
clubs. We've
Amazing.
had zero venues. I'm talking about some clubs we run are 1,300 crores builds, 500 crore builds, uh, no fixed rentals. So I'm a capital agnostic and risk averse business model. My scalability potential
Nice.
is just phenomenal because what I am doing is builders were building this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
now they're just building it right. And they're building it socially relevant to their audience. And they're building it financially sustainably. So we get involved with CAM strategies. You're going to build a stadium. Who's going to run it after you go?
Yeah.
So so the real reason people call us is at the get-go, we advise them, if you're going to build a stadium, what's the sustainability angle? How are you going to financially sustain it? So we remove all the fluff. Designers, architects hate us. I'm going to name some of the biggest architects in the country who hate us because we come in and take their fancy creations out of the window
Yeah.
for financial sustainability. We're like, dude, you can't have an indoor heated 40-meter pool in an AC environment. My fucking AC cost is going, electric cost is going to kill me. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've used there, and you're gonna have to have that out. But
That's fine.
yeah,
Adult audience.
okay. But yeah, man. So we making it viable, and financially, that's where I think, and from a scalability perspective, we assume with in 2027, not assume, it's a vivid vision. It's in place. The whole company knows it. All 500 people
Yeah.
know what vision is, and the power of group manifestation is unreal, dude. I'm thinking of projects and they just come to you. It's just unreal. This whole universal law of attraction thing.
Yeah.
And 2027, we are going to be at 74 clubs.
Wow.
74 clubs with an average 3,000 member count. That's
That's
and four
amazing.
people per membership,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking a couple of 100,000 people that are going to be directly influenced by Elysium as members living
Amazing.
healthier, fitter, social, and emotional lives. And they go out and talk to their friends and they engage
Yeah.
whenever they. So while I have only 2,000 members in Bavdan, I have 30,000 footfalls a month because guests come in and events happen and whatnot. I imagine 74 venues touching 30,000 people a month. You're making a percentage point of urban population change their entire lifestyles. Their
Yeah.
kids, like you said, are going to live a healthier, fitter lifestyle,
Yeah.
addicted to sports. My kid is for sure. I'm sure your kids will
Yeah.
be too. And their kids, two generations from now, when you do the math, it lands up being close to 15 crore people within two generations that are addicted to a
Yeah.
lifestyle of sports and active living. So I think what we're doing here, I mean, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I think what we're doing here is going to change the fabric of the Indian silhouette, which you can see from far. You can see the Indian guy in the silhouette because his stomach's out, his ass is in. Uh, I think we're
Yeah.
going to change that in the next 10 years. So that's
No,
the
and
long-term
and
vision.
it's needed, it's funny, like and you know what, this vision, it's gonna happen. There's no two ways about it. I mean, with the focus that you have, and like, see, right now, like you just said, builders are building anyway. They're doing this anyway. This community, it's
Yeah,
going to happen. It's only a matter of kind of plugging in and realizing that, I mean, sport is this whole community piece through sport is the way to go. And the way
yeah,
that you guys are going about it, I mean, that's fantastic. I love from a model perspective. Yeah, it sounds too good to be true, but
yeah.
I know it's all
I get
working, and
pitched.
I love the third place that you mentioned. I mean,
Yeah,
that's key, right?
yeah.
Uh, and
For
and
social capital, you need third places, man. And but that's a coffee house, and definitely should not be a mall. Uh, but yeah, and so we believe in there are two types of chemicals. So we're anti-dopamine. I don't know if I'm exceeding your
no, no,
time,
we're
but
good, we're good.
this is last jewel before I go. We believe that dopamine is was designed as a molecule, and we're addicted dopamine. Like every time you look at a phone, that's a dopamine kick.
Yeah.
These instances have been strategically placed into our lives where we are living off dopamine kicks continuously. Right?
Yeah.
And the problem with the molecule of more is every time it's like an addiction. Every time you want more of that thing to get your dopamine kick. We as a business stay away from anything to do with dopamine. So entertainment, FECs, we get pitched all the time, do FEC within your club. We're like, dude, if
Yeah.
it's dopamine based, we don't want to be involved. And people don't get that. They say, really, you're going to base your business model off a hormone? And we keep on telling them like Elysium and HotFut, we're all about HNN, what we call here and now chemicals, right? And um, the concept is every time you get an I can't live without playing my baddie game 3 times a week, right?
Yeah.
And I get my endorphin kick from that. And like the runner's high, the more you consume, the lesser you consume of the product now going to like a run. If you needed to get your endorphin kick in 10K, it starts happening in 7 and 5 as you get more routine, right? And you get addicted
Yeah.
to that. So you get repetitive business all the time. It's good for business. The more endorphin you get addicted to over a period of time, serotonin endorphin cocktail is what gives you that feel good factor, and
Yeah.
you're really proud of yourself. And when you do that for a lifestyle, for a sustained period of time, like a year, that's when the oxytocin kicks in, the cuddle hormone. And that is the self-love. That combination of here and now makes, I think, the ideal person. And if you can get people hooked onto here and now chemicals, you're going to build like this beautiful utopian society. And that's where the word Elysium comes from. Like we're trying to build that society, we're trying to build that
Yeah.
paradise Elysium,
Yeah.
where everybody's like juiced up on here and now chemicals.
I love, like, you've I mean, honestly, everyone listening's been taking notes, I'm 100% sure. Because at the end of the day, like, you've gone from the business side to explaining us the philosophy to making us understand uh, from a revenue perspective, how does this sort of business work, to throwing us the science as well, at the end of the day. And unless, like, you understand all of this, it's also difficult to kind of progress, because for you as a business, you have to kind of push this out into your I mean, the people that you work with, and that's the culture that you're building, and that's amazing, man. I love it. I really
Awesome,
love it.
man. Awesome. Thank you
uh,
so much.
I'm gonna so a lot of our listeners are working in sport, aspiring to be in sport, and of course others as well. So, little bit of advice, if you can give them, and I want to give it in a perspective of, a lot of people look at, the whole sports business as, oh, professional teams,
Yeah.
and that side of it, the more glamour
Yeah.
side,
The glamour side.
where as in this particular case, you're touching and you are affecting so many lives, but using sport at a very
Yeah.
different scale and level. Maybe words of advice of them, how they could kind of be part of a system like this, or again, uh,
I think
work in some of the stuff that you guys are doing.
um, I don't think I'm anyone to give advice, to be honest. Uh, the one thing that we have a culture deck in our company, and the one thing we run off is our values. I think it's really important to have purpose.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kids, when I lecture in the colleges and all, I keep telling them like everything that doesn't have purpose dies. I've seen that happen with grandparents. I've seen that happen. Cells without purpose turns cancerous, right?
Hmm.
Without purpose, um, you align your purpose, and literally the world starts manifesting itself towards that purpose. Now, most of these kids come and tell me, dude, awesome. Where the hell do I find this purpose? Right? How do I find it? And I keep telling us, like, just go out and solve people's problems. Like
Yeah,
service. You find purpose in service. When you don't have your own purpose,
I love
just
it.
go out and start fixing problems for people. Get into situations. Just go out and help people out. Right. And I think that's where a lot of religious context comes in, where you have to be of service to mankind. You just keep helping people. You'll soon realize you're able to do certain things better than most of the people around you,
Yeah.
and that becomes your core skill set, and that aligns you to a purpose. So in the lack of purpose for young kids, especially the ones who are going to UK and US to study now, I don't know why the future is here. And I get a lot, like 50% of my BD
Yeah.
team is kids who are going, my friends' kids who have gone to UK to Deakin or to UCLA. And I've
Yeah.
called them midway and said, you guys having fun? They don't have jobs for themselves. You think they're going to hire you? And they all say, very serious about what you're talking about. And they've all come back and work for me here now, and they're part of our BD team. And they're all entrepreneurs kids who are probably much richer and much larger than me in scale. But they love the purpose that we are kind of So my advice to everybody is find your purpose. Life will take care of itself when you find it, whether it's a sport or not. And to find your purpose, just go out and help as many people without the mindset of money, with the mindset of I'm building skills and figuring out who I really am by helping other people. You do that, I guarantee you in 2 years, you'll have found something you're better at than anybody else. And that becomes your je ne sais quoi, your success story, your element.
Says the guy who just said that he doesn't have advice. Honestly, that was the best advice anybody could get. That was absolutely fantastic. Pavit, really appreciate you taking the time and all the best. And of course, I'll share a bunch of the links along with this talk, where people
Awesome.
can find and read more about Elysium and some of the reports and your articles as well on LinkedIn.
Awesome, man.
But no, really,
Awesome.
really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
This was
I'm really excited
super
to have
power
been on
packed
here.
and knowledge filled. I love that. I love that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you, Paul. I hope I didn't like preachy. Everybody tells me you get preachy, and I have ADHD, so I don't listen well. So I hope none of that came across, and maybe you can edit if it did. Thank you for being such a great listener and such a great host. And look forward to doing more cool stuff with you, man. Somewhere along
Yeah,
the
man.
future, like this
Sounds
is more of
sounds
you is
good.
needed for this country.
Sounds good, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good one.